Welcome to the show this afternoon. Welcome. We're just starting. We're about to go live asking some questions today. Let me just play a little bit of intro here. So, intro video. Let's go ahead and just, come on board. If you're coming on board, help me share the show. We're going to be discussing a few things here today. Some questions regarding the possibilities of Liberia, what role the Liberian diaspora has to play in Liberia. What are we going to do to make sure we take our proper position in Liberia? That's what we are trying to do. If you're coming on board, please help me share. Help me share the show so we can talk more about Liberia and see how we can improve the conditions in the country. Before we go to the countdown, let me just play a little video here. Thank you very much for coming on board, guys. If you're coming on, please help me share the show. Let's talk Liberia. This is regarding the Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund. We'll be discussing a few things here. I got a bunch of questions today regarding Liberians in the diaspora. That's what we'll be talking about this afternoon. Like I said, the show will be relayed in Liberia. If you're coming on board, please help me share the show. Let's discuss Liberia. Let's talk about Liberia. Let's find a way to improve Liberia. Please help me share the show if you're coming on board. We will be starting the show maybe in the next 1-2 minutes. Help me share the show if you're coming on board. Those of you who are listening in Liberia, we say hello out there back home. Hope you guys are doing well. I just came today to ask a few questions regarding Liberia and Liberians and about their country. That's the question we're going to keep asking until hopefully we get some answers to improve conditions on the ground. Please help me share the show if you're coming on board. We are also running live on YouTube as well. We're running our page on YouTube, the Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund. I come over once a week, every Saturday at 8 p.m. to bring a message to you. Like I said, the show will be relayed back in Liberia as well. And we will continue to talk, and hopefully somebody will listen. And if they do listen, perhaps we can get a message across so we can take jobs back home to the country. This is the aim of the Liberian Diaspora Corporation. But today, I will not be doing a lot of talking. I'll be doing a lot of questions. I'll be asking a lot of questions. I'm not necessarily going to answer those questions, but I'm going to pose those questions. And I want us to ponder those questions as to whether or not we are doing everything we can in the diaspora to live Liberia, to play our part as citizens of Liberia, that we are doing everything humanly possible to make sure Liberia is lifted. I was speaking to a brother and friend of mine today. I think he's from Philadelphia. He said, Mr. Dwalu, my man, the stuff you're trying to do, it is a great cause, but Liberians were not listening. Liberians don't care about that stuff. You got a great voice. I mean, if you start doing some man course, then you start doing some funny video, perhaps people will flock to the network and try to listen, because Liberians are more focused on entertainment than they are focused on providing results to the society. And this is what I told the brother. I said, listen to me, my brother. I don't expect what I've embarked on to be very easy. I don't expect people to come and listen to me in the beginning, because they don't see any reasoning behind it, because all we focus on are superficial issues that does not lift the country, that creates that instantaneous gratification to say, oh yeah, I laugh a little bit, I talked a little bit. I said, my job is to bring a message, and with the hope that message lift our country in some fashion. That is my goal. That is my job. Whether or not people come and watch me, I am not going to change who I am. I'm not going to turn to cussing or making fun or trying to mask the pain that I feel about my country simply because to entertain somebody. My job here is not to entertain. Like I said, today we'll be starting the show in like 30 seconds. Today I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. And I want you to join me to ask those questions. Like I said, the show will also be relayed in Liberia. If you're coming on board, help me share the show. It's about the Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund. Every Saturday, we do a show at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here from the state of Massachusetts. Eventually, the show will be relayed on several radio stations in the country. We continue to talk to people. This Monday, hopefully, the first one will come out. We'll also be on ELBC. Possibly, we'll go on Sky TV, Sky Radio in Liberia with T-Max. We're going to also run it from the Patrick Hunter Show. We're going to try to do our best to get the message out there that Liberians must take their proper place for this country to develop. I am not going to be a clown simply to entertain and get people here to the network. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring the message, and I'm going to play my part. And I'm going to ask people to join me to play their part so we can lift the country. Like I said today, I am not going to talk much, but I'm going to ask a lot of questions. Do Liberians even understand the concept of patriotism? We want to start the show. I'm not going to hesitate. Like I said, I'm broadcasting from the great state of Massachusetts. My name is Ansu Opa Dualu, and nothing gives me great pleasure than talking about Liberia, finding solutions that elevate my country, and finding a way to put Liberian men and women to work. I've said this to the president many occasions, and I've said this repeatedly, and I will continue to echo this. It doesn't matter what President Bouaka does in the Republic of Liberia. If we do not find a way to create jobs and put men to work, his effort, his administration will be considered a failure. I repeat, if the president of the Republic of Liberia does not find a way to develop the private sector where we can put men and women to work so Papa can come home properly, his administration will be considered a failure. I'm going to continue to stress this issue. And I'm going to ask a lot of questions here today. And I want you guys to weigh those questions with me, because we are continuing to be left behind. Every single country in our region is forging ahead. And I'm going to commend the president respectively and say, listen, the road constructions across the country, commendable. The push to build large-scale poultry farming in the country, commendable. We will continue to echo this, because the president promised us that he will lift the Liberian society to do job creation. He's going to push to make sure men and women go to work in the country. I was just in the country about 4 or 5 days ago now. And I'll say this to you. Our people are in dire straits, desperate conditions. How are we going to remove them from this condition? This is what keeps me up at night. This is what I think about every single time when I think about Liberia. And I'll repeat this, and I will continue to stress this one point. Honorable Bouaka can do whatever he wants in the country. If we do not find a way to strategize to create massive amount of jobs across the country, to put men and women to work, his administration will be considered a failure. And our job, when the president came here to Providence, Rhode Island, this is what he said, and I'm paraphrasing. The Liberian diaspora holds tremendous possibility, tremendous potential to transform Liberia. He would do everything he can to incorporate the Liberian diaspora. And our job here is to hold him to that. I'm going to ask you this question. Where is our love for Liberia? I'm not talking about you go home and you build your personal home. This is something expected of you. That's your personal choice. You're going to live in a facility. Are we collaborating? Are we formulating ways in the private sector so we can put boot to ground in Liberia and find a way to create jobs in the country through private enterprise? Are we doing this? If you don't, even if you don't want to be patriotic, but are we finding ways to put our brothers and sisters to work? Or do we get this satisfaction every time somebody calls me from Liberia? The person sending $20, $30, and then we are satisfied with this. We will have our fellow Liberians, where somebody's trying to find a solution to a problem, they mock you because it gives them satisfaction. Their inadequacies hampers them, and we say, oh, they've been making fun. I will have people say, oh, I made the money that I not raised, I can get that money today. This is typical of the typical Liberian because we don't aspire to anything greater than ourselves. We believe everything is magically going to be transformed, not recognizing that the price has to be paid and everybody has to play their part. When you ask them, if you get a better alternative, we are willing to follow you, they don't have any alternative. But what they do is you're just going to mock. They say, listen, make fun of it because it gives them satisfaction. The lower position of thinking is the reason why we are stuck in this no place, this place of nothingness. I will follow anybody who has a better strategy to improve Liberia, a better push to create jobs in our country. I'll follow you because I want the society to improve. But if your entire intent is to mark what we do, I pity you because you don't only know yourself. Let me say this to some people that will mock me. I'll say this to you. The only reason why you have any degree of relevance is because you're in another man's country. If you were stuck back home in Liberia, you're possibly a possum trap setter. You come to another man's country and you think you're better. This is lunacy, folks. You don't have to join us. But it gives you nothing if you mock us. If you got a better strategy, put it forth. Let's follow you. Liberia must grow. We have to find a way. Nobody's claiming to be expert in anything. All we are trying to do is to find a solution to elevate our country. If you don't have an alternative, my recommendation to you is to shut up and sit in your corner and try to read a book or two. But I will continue to say this. What is our plan here in the diaspora to improve the conditions in the country? What is the plan? What have we done to say, listen, we are coming to Liberia. We are going to form a collaborative block that's going to improve a condition in the country, or at least set up some small-scale manufacturing across our country to put men and women to work. Or we just going to sit in another man's country and work our manual jobs, and then we say we have arrived, and for some reason we think we are better. Provide me solutions that is greater than what I'm proposing, and I will follow you. Or even, they don't have to be better, but that works, and I will follow you. But if you are not providing solution, and the only thing you aspire to is to make fun of people that are trying to provide solution and find a way to improve conditions in the ground, I say to you, you're ill. There's something inherently wrong with you. Are we going to settle for the way Liberia is permanently? This is what we're going to settle for. Can Liberia grow beyond its current station? Can we find a way to grow Liberia beyond its current station? Liberian here in America, in Europe, in Australia, in better African countries are earning. What are we doing? The Liberian Diaspora Corporation is aiming to do something about the country. It's just to pull our resources, to set up a board of directors, to make a collective decision, to go into bond or into Saniquili and build something that put men and women to work. Last week, I spoke on the topic. It costs money to raise money, Mr. President. We've spoken to you. We have written. We have done everything. We cannot do this part-time. We must get on the road. I must bring on board maybe 3 to 5 other people so we can transverse the country, transverse the world literally, so we can be able to raise the $25 million and get back to Liberia and build small-scale manufacturing in our country to put men and women to work. If you have a better alternative, say it, and let's follow you. I am not suggesting that my recommendation or the recommendations from the Liberian Diaspora Corporation is the only way forward. This is not what I'm saying. There are 10,000 other ways. But let's find a way. My issue is we must find a way to transform Liberia. We cannot just continue to be quiet. We cannot be quiet permanently. And we live in the comforts of another man's country. And for some reason, we think we have arrived. We think we have arrived. We look back not to Liberia, and you will hear people say, La Liberia plays there. Nothing good can come from there. For me, Pa, I'm just going to turn my back on Liberia. I'm going to say this to you. You are not Liberian because you were born in Liberia or because Liberia, you got Liberian parents, etc., etc. This is not coming from me. This is coming from Mbeki, the former South African president. You are Liberian because Liberia is born in you. We cannot turn our back on our heritage. We have to find a way to bring Liberia to its proper place. We cannot just settle for being a country that is heavily diseased and we are doing nothing to change that. We cannot be a country that is poverty-stricken and we are satisfied with the conditions of Liberia. We cannot be that. We cannot just be a country that accepts death in young people and we believe this is normal. We know with complete certainty that this is not normal. 5 days ago, I was leaving, maybe I was around GSA Junction, and I was going back into Painesville, and I intentionally drove to a red light. And I saw the desperate conditions of our people, malnourished. This is not just on this administration. This is something that's been happening for a long time. And it's okay to say, but Liberia always been that way. Liberia always been that way. This is not true. Liberia doesn't have to always be that way. I repeat, Liberia doesn't have to always be that way. The capabilities exist now. The expertise exists now that we can push to transform Liberia. Yes, the expertise do exist. I'm telling you, Liberians are majoring and being experts in fields that are scattered all across the globe. We have to find a way to bring those expertise back to the country. Remember, I told you last time there are 4 objectives of the Liberian Diaspora Corporation, 4 basic tasks that we are trying to achieve in Liberia. 4 of them. Number 1 is to make our shareholders money. That's all we aim to do. Is to find a way to make our shareholders money. That's number 1. Number 2 is to create massive amount of jobs across the country in strategic locations in different areas that's going to grow and expand the Liberian economy. That's number 2. Our third objectives is this. Is to have economic influence in our country through strategy and through incorporating other businesses that come in the country to make sure we control exports to our country, to make sure we control imports to our country, to make sure we control manufacturing in our country, to hone Liberian expertise. And number 4 is to bring Liberian expertise back to the country so they can truly develop the human capital of our society. This is the aim of the corporation. Remember, primarily is to make our shareholders money. Secondarily, is to create massive amount of jobs across the country. Tertiarily, is to make sure we have economic influence in the country. Number 4 is to bring Liberian expertise back to the country so we can truly begin the developmental process. Look, we have to groom local Liberian millionaires so they can go to the respective enclaves and begin developments in those locations. This is how it was done in every single country you see today. Every single society groom their own local entrepreneurs, their own local expertise to be able to grow businesses in certain factors of their country so that country can expand the government tax base. An $800 million budget is not going to develop Liberia when we have close to 90% of that budget going to recurring costs, going to maintaining a cushioned lifestyle for government officials. We have to find a way to grow the budget. We have to have a better budgeting process for our country. We have to find a way to expand the educational systems of the country. Private enterprise can play a vital role in making sure that it's done. The Liberian Diaspora Corporation aims to do just that. I believe we here in the diaspora, we have tremendous potential, as was said by President Jose Yimabwaka when he came to Providence, Rhode Island. He said, listen, the diaspora will be fully incorporated. Mr. President, I remind you of this. When you were seeking the presidency of our republic, You ask her, you know what we did to champion your cause, you know the voice, you know how loudly we spoke to make sure you became president of this country. You call upon us, we spend our money, our time, we give everything to making you president. All we ask of you is to give a little happy hand, see money, so we can raise this money. We can refund the government the money back after we raise the $25 million. And the government can be a part of this public-private partnership so we can grow Liberian industry, so we can grow Liberian homegrown businesses that can expand the Liberian economy, grow the Liberian tax base. I have a firm belief that if we don't work diligently to get our budget, our national budget to about $5 billion, the process of development is not going to be quicking. It's too slow. Our people must feel the developmental agenda of this administration. Mr. President, I will continue to remind you, it doesn't matter what you do. You can pave all the roads in Liberia. You can build a skyscraper all over Monrovia if you want to. If we do not create jobs for the people on the ground, they will see your administration as a failure. And your administration cannot be a failure. It cannot be a failure. Our legacy is equally tied to your legacy because we champion your cause. You pledge to promote the private sector, to put money towards the private sector so we can groom and grow Liberian enterprise that controls our economy. Liberian expertise are scattered across the globe, Mr. President. We want you to help us to bring them home. The Liberian Diaspora Corporation can bring expertise back to the country so we can start growing Liberian industry. It's not going to take a day. It takes time. But we do have time to build Liberian industry. And we are asking for seed money. We have begun raising the money, Mr. President. Like I reminded you, the very first few weeks, we had over 100,000 United States dollars that came in to the Liberian Diaspora Corporation. We are raising the money, but the money is not being raised fast enough. The issue that I'm facing, Mr. President, I have no time. I have to quit my job to be able to raise this money. I must recruit 3-4 other people to join me so we can begin going across the country to raise the money. We have to go to Liberian communities here across America. We have to go to Liberian community in Australia. We have to go to Europe, and we have to say to our brothers and sisters that we must build something in our society so men and women can go to work. It has to be a full-time job. This job cannot be done part-time. I cannot do this part-time. I barely have any hours. Get up in the morning at 5 o'clock a.m. I get to work at 6. I don't get home sometimes till 7, 8 o'clock at night. I have no time to raise this money. The money is trickling in. But Mr. President, you pledged to us that you will fully incorporate the Liberian diaspora. All we ask for is seed money to be able to recruit 3, 4, 5 other people to join this team so we can go across America to be able to raise the $25 million for the Liberian Diaspora Corporation. We will raise the money and we can refund the government back the money so we can build Liberian industry. I want a large-scale fishing industry in the country. We can start with 3, 4 vessels. They cost $500,000 to $1 million. We can build a hub in Blacklaville. We can build a hub in Buchanan. We can build a hub perhaps in Robertsport or maybe in Monrovia itself. And we can start a large-scale fishing industry. We can invest heavily into the agribusiness. Mr. President, the African food here in America is extremely expensive. We can set up a massive processing location in Liberia and put thousands of men to work and actually grow the Liberian tax base. The Liberian Diaspora Corporation is raising this money. Liberians across America, across Europe, across Australia are willing to pay into this money, but we must take the message to them in person. And we have to say to them, our country is dying. Every other location across the globe, every other location around us, they're growing. They are growing, and we are stagnated because we are not pumping money into Liberia. We have to strategically pump money into our society so men can go to work. Mr. President, there's a single reason why everybody flock to government. We have to take people from the focus of government job and reorient their mind towards private enterprise so we can grow bond, we can grow Saniquity, we can grow Seclipie, we can grow Tuzan, we can grow Tapeta, we can grow Totota, we can grow Wiala, we can come into Kakata, we can build a wheelbarrow factory today in the country. and stop the importation of wheelbarrow and shovel to our country. The press is available. Between 500,000 and $1 million. We can raise the money, Mr. President. We are not asking the government for the money, but we are asking for seed money. It costs money to raise money, Mr. President. It costs anywhere from 10 cents to 90 cents to raise $1 here in America. But we will do this on the cheap. But we must get on the roll. To build industry in Liberia, we must take Liberian expertise home. If I'm going to pull people from their jobs, you got to pay them. We have to pay them. This is what the seed money is for. We are collecting fee, but the money is not coming in fast enough. It's not coming in fast enough. We have to build industry in the country to expand the government tax base. Like I continue to remind Liberians across the globe, our country is not going to grow if we do not put boot to ground. If we do not put boot to ground in the country, Liberia is not going to grow. Look, I'll remind young Liberians that came to America, I want to remind you of this. You did not come to America simply because it was a mistake. You came here so you can be a blessing to our country. Have you been that blessing to Liberia? I'm talking about on a massive scale. We in the diaspora, we have to go home in a major way. And let me define major for you. I'm talking about in a major way where we build the Liberian Diaspora Hospital, in a major way where we build the Liberian Diaspora University, in a major way where we build small-scale manufacturing across our country, in a major way where we can bring back expertise to the country to help become professors at our universities. This is what I'm talking about in a major way. In a major way where we can build construction companies across the country and put thousands of Liberians to work. This is a major way that I'm talking about. It is okay to go home and start a small business. There's nothing wrong with that. But the probability that you are going to succeed individually, especially if you are not permanently domiciled in the country, is slim to none. The Liberian diaspora will be permanently present in the country. I, as the president and CEO of the Liberian Diaspora Corporation, I will be living in Liberia. All my quota officers will be truly living in the country so we can promote and breathe life back into the country. We must do something in a major way to lift Liberia and take Liberia from this place of shame and disgrace that we have resided for some 170 plus years. Every single time what we do is talk. Oh, Mr. Dwalu, nobody will listen to you if you're not doing Mancos. Nobody will listen to you if you're not trying to be comical, because if we try to mask the hurt that is killing our country and we pretend to be comedians. When truly we know we are dying, the life expectancy of our country continues to go down. We are dying sooner because there is no hope in the country. The entire society, hope is fleeing from Liberia. How do we get hope back to the country if we don't take enterprise to Liberia? Remember, like I said, the very few weeks, over 100,000 United States dollars came in to the Liberian Diaspora Corporation. The money is being raised, but the money is not being raised fast enough. I have to quit my job, Mr. President. We've written. We will continue to speak on this issue. It costs money to raise money, Mr. President. We can raise to $25 million. This is our target. We can possibly raise more. We issued the first 275,000 shares. People are purchasing the shares, but they're not purchasing fast enough. And the time is going. So we must quit our job and get on the roll and go to Liberian churches, go to Liberian homes across America, across Australia, across Europe, and say to them that we must do something in a major way to put Liberian men and women to work. Look, our universities across the country in Liberia, from Tubman University to Cottington, to UMU, to AME Zion University, to the University of Liberia, the SDA University, they are putting out thousands of graduates every single year. These young men and women have nowhere to go to hone their skills. The corporation can change this. Mr. President, you have to allow us to help you, but you have to facilitate this effort. This is what the Japanese did. When you hear about Nissan today, You hear about Toyota. You hear about the mega Japanese corporation. These were all rather initially funded by the Japanese government so they can birth new industries in the country. When you hear about Apple, you hear about Google, you hear about Amazon, you hear about the giant corporations in America, their local banks to the government subsidy help them to come to life. We are asking the government for seed money so we can breathe life back into our country, because the only truest way for this society to develop is we have to expand private enterprise and begin to truly expand Liberian economy so we can have a grip on our own country and control our own destiny. We have to control our destiny. We are being controlled by foreigners in our own country. The Liberian has no say in its own country. We are like peasants in our own country, and yet still we say we know book. We are not supposed to talk it because somebody's going to get mad and say, oh, Mr. Dwalu, look, it's not about criticism. It's about how do we move from this place of shame and disgrace to a place of prominence. That Liberia once more can be a respected nation amongst the Committee of Nations. Can we go to that place? I have no doubt that we can go there. But it would take Liberian ingenuity. It would take reimagining Liberia for the better. It would take Liberian Express coming back to the country to build industry. It would take entrepreneurs that are being initially helped by government austerity measures to make sure the fiscal policies of the country also incorporates the Liberian enterprising, so we can grow Liberian industry across the country, Mr. President. This is the truest way. Look, there has been no country that has developed. Don't take my word for it. Go read history. Think about the British and their expansionary policies across the globe. Think about the great United States. Think about every corporation here in America. Initially, it was funded to do some government subsidy, to do private equity, to do something. They took money from somewhere to be able to build that industry, and eventually that industry morphed into a giant that is paying billions of dollars into taxes to the government. This is how we grow the Liberian government tax base. Mr. President, if we don't get this budget north of $2, $3, $4, $5 billion, especially where we are taking close to 90% of the national budget that's going to maintaining a cushioned lifestyle for government officials, this country is going nowhere. Private corporations must come in. The Liberian diaspora can raise this money. The money is being raised, Mr. President, but we need seed money. We have tried. We got a little bit of fee, but it's not being raised enough. I must quit my job, Mr. President. I have to quit my job. I have to recruit another 3 to 5 people. Currently, Asi and Fatima are in Liberia. I just got out of Liberia about 3-4 days ago. I have to recruit 4 or 5 other people, and we have to get on the roll. We have to go to Minnesota. We have to go to Charlotte, North Carolina. We have to go into North Dakota. We have to go to Providence. We have to go to Worcester, Massachusetts. We have to go across Australia. We have to go to Europe in Liberian communities and let them know that Liberia needs her sons and daughters to put their resources together so we can build something. This is not a charity, y'all. This is a for-profit operation with the sole intent to elevate Liberia to a proper place to do private enterprise, to do creating local Liberian millionaires that are true to millionaires, that add value to our country, not necessarily working in government, becoming a quasi-millionaires, and we all know how those monies were gotten. The goal here is we are not going to grow this society if we do not develop private enterprise. I will continue to ask you this. Can Liberia rise above its current disgraceful station if the Liberian diaspora does not get actively involved in Liberia to do private enterprise? Can we rise above our current location of shame and disgrace, where we are literally, arguably, maybe the 3rd or 4th poorest country on earth, even though arguably we are one of the richest in terms of resources? How are we capitalizing on those resources to manifest something in Liberia that lifts the society? Mr. President, we will continue to remind you. You lit this fire in us. You promised us that you will expand the private sector. When we spoke, you said, Valu, we just want to build a foundation in Liberia that we can leave to you guys. We can build industries that will elevate the country. Mr. President, it starts now. These men must go to work. The Liberian family is being dissolved because there are no jobs in the country. If there is no job, it is almost impossible to keep the family together. As the family dissolves, the society collapses. Our society is being zogarized because there is no job creation. The corporation must come in and help create jobs for our people. We can create the jobs. We can raise the money. But it costs money to raise money. I must bring on board Liberian experts so we can transverse the country here in America to be able to raise the $25 million to start small-scale manufacturing across the country, to start a massive agro business, to start a garment factory in the country, to start a wheelbarrow factory in the country, to start exports of locally produced goods that are properly packaged for the American and European market, to start a large-scale fishing industry, to put thousands of men and women to work so we can give dignity back to our people. This is the aim. Every Saturday, I bring a simple message that the Liberian Diaspora Corporation is desperate to do something in Liberia. Those of us who have the opportunity to know, we have an obligation, a duty to act. And the question to you, Liberians in the diaspora, have we acted in a way that lifts Liberia? In a major way. Sending $20 home is fine. Let me repeat the question. Those of us who have the opportunity to know better have an obligation, a duty to act. Have we acted in a way that elevates Liberia? Have we acted in a way that promotes commerce in Liberia? Have we acted in a way that improves the universities in our country? Are we acting in a way that improves the sanitary conditions of our society? Are we acting in a way that creates jobs across the country to make sure we give men and women dignity in Liberia? Have we acted in a major way that elevates Liberia in a major way? I know sometimes everything we tend to make it political, and I'm not going to argue to the contrary because sometimes it is political, and I get it, and I understand it completely because we politicize everything in the country. But what I've done, I realized the politicization of our society is harming us way more than it helps the entire society. And that politicization actually costs lives. It costs the lives of the most vulnerable amongst us. We are dying at a younger rate. Our maternal mortality rate continues to climb. If a woman goes to give birth in Liberia and the baby dies and the woman come home, our people say, thank God, at least we know the baby here. But in increasing numbers, more women are being left in hospital. Increased accident rates across the country. Simple disease are killing people across our country. And what are we doing here in the diaspora to help mitigate some of that? What are we doing? I am not suggesting that I have all the answers to these questions. I'm just asking these questions. Have we played our part? Or are we just going to settle for chaos? That is Liberia today. Are we this shameless of a people that we accept the conditions of Liberia when everybody else around us continuing to grow in a way that elevates their society? Mr. President, you must help us to help you breathe life back into our country. All hands on deck. All hands must be on deck so we can continue to build Liberia, to live Liberia, to love Liberia. It is impossible for a man to truly be a proper man in the absence of job. It is impossible for a woman to maintain her self-dignity, her self-worth in the absence of being able to take care of herself monetarily, to get a decent quality job so she can grow her family and protect her family. For there to be respect and honor in the Liberian home, there must be jobs. The more and more our people become unemployed, the more zogorized our society become because the desperation in the country continues to increase. How are we going to change this, Mr. President? How do we intend to change this? As we continue to put this message out there, if anybody who listens to me, if you can get this message to the right people, we will appreciate it. We must raise this $25 million so we can go home and build something that we all can be proud of. And I will continue to stress this. But the very people who mock us and say, listen, Mr. Wall Street, Mr. You want Ale, that only one can do it. You want Ale, he can raise money, even though if he raised the money, he would get credit. Look, all that stuff, I don't care about. I don't care about your credit. I don't care about anything. I just care about making sure we build something in Liberia. Let's not let petty jealousy and things that are superficial divide us when we can come together collaboratively and build something that is far greater than each of us. Nobody's claiming to be anything that he is not. But when we do this, we tear us apart. We tear us apart. You don't have to support, but you don't have to try to tear it apart unnecessarily. It just shows your vulnerability. It shows your small-mindedness. And I want us to stop this because we live in another man's country. The very comforts that are here in America, that are in Europe, we did not build it. We met it there. And we claim that we are better because we are enjoying the modernity of another man's country when our country is so far behind. Instead of collaborating, finding ways to build something, the issue is more focused on who is what and who is not. Look, we got to stop that. It is petty and it's unnecessary and injures Liberia in a major way. We cannot continue to injure Liberia. We must heal Liberia. We must pull Lapa back around Liberia so we can grow this society. So we can grow this society. My people, if we don't grow Liberia, look, I had a guy call me and say, Mr. Dwalu, what you're trying to do is commendable. But my man, I wash my hand from Liberia. Please do not wash your hand from Liberia. Liberia needs you. Liberia needs every single one of us. You cannot wash your hands off of Liberia. You cannot. You must not. We must come together, even at $300, $500, $1,000. We must pull it together, form a corporation, and go to the country and build something that is far greater than each of us. That's all we ask. This is all we ask. Look, there's nothing guaranteed that we will be here tomorrow. Nothing is guaranteed. But the question will be asked when you were there, when we were alive, what did we do to transform Liberia? That's the question we all have to answer. How will we answer that question? Are we going to be shameless and say, oh, but I'm my business? And the person that I wanted, the people, they didn't put them there. Let me tell you something. When the people are caught in the desperate condition, they don't know better. In many instances, it's our job to make sure they know better. For those of us who's been given the opportunity to know better, we have a duty to act better, to infuse that so-called better back to our society so the entire society can get a little bit more better. That's the goal. Get a little better. That's the goal. Nothing more, nothing less. And every Saturday, when I come to you, I bring this message. Something changes. I'm going to come back and say, listen, this is where we are. This is where we are going. This is what we intend to do. But Liberia, I want you to remember this. Liberia is far behind. Liberia is dragging. And that slow pace of Liberia costs lives. That slow pace of Liberia costs lives. We, the fortunate few who have come to another man's country, we have a duty to look back to Liberia to try to find a way to improve the conditions on the ground. Are we doing that? Are we doing that? Or are we just always going to suggest, oh, but are the government responsibility? Yes, the government does have a major role. Yes, the government gets all the resources. Yes, I get it. I understand it. This is why we look to the government. But we too equally have a role to play. And the question to us is are we playing that role as citizens of the Republic of Liberia? Are we playing that role? Can we play that role together? And if we do play that role, how would it playing that role impact Liberia? I believe for the positive. In a major way, it's going to impact our society. And that's all we are asking, that we should put resources together. Like I continue to say to you, we are raising the money. You can go to our website, the Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund.com. A share is $100 per share. We are trying to raise $25 million. The money is coming in, like I said before, but the money is coming very slowly. And we believe we have to hasten the pace to making sure we raise that money. And the only way that pace can be hastened is to make sure we quit our job and we focus entirely on raising this money to recruit additional Liberian, 5 additional Liberians to join this team so we can begin truly raising the money to elevate our country. I'm not suggesting that it's going to be easy. Nothing that is worth something that is worth elevating our society or any society has ever been easy. It's going to take grit. It's going to take effort. It's going to take hard work. It's going to take thinking. It's going to take different strategies to make sure we implement something in the country. But what we cannot do is not do anything. That's what we cannot do. We must do something to transform the country. If we do nothing, we get nothing. If we do nothing, the country permanently remains in its current location. Are we just willing to leave Liberia in its current location? If that's what you're willing to do, I have no counter to that. But I'm going to say this to you. How will posterity judge us? That we did nothing to change Liberia, but yet and still we talk, we do nothing to change the country. I want us to understand, it's not about who is in charge. People have told me, oh, Mr. Dwalu, you don't want the country to change now because you supported this administration. That is not true. I put more money on President Weah. Me personally, they're not the only any other president. So it doesn't matter who's president. I just want Liberia to grow. I just want Liberia to get better so our family back home, our brothers and sisters back home can have a proper Liberia, can have dignity, can have job, can have quality of living, or the standard of living improve for the better. That's all I want. Nothing more, nothing less. And I think that's what all of us want. But what I'm going to remind you of, you will not get that if you don't force the issue. You will not get that if you are not intentional about getting that. You will not get that if you don't organize to get that. You will not get that if you don't put resources and strategy together and put in the proper expertise to be able to generate that. We will not build industry in Liberia if we do not make the efforts to build that industry. This is how it's done. And the Liberian Diaspora Corporation has begun the process to building something in Liberia. But before we can begin that building something, we must raise money. And that's where we are. For those of you who's already bought your shares, I want to thank you. And I want to say to you, thank you very much for believing in us, for loving Liberia, for looking back to Liberia and recognizing that we must do something to elevate the country. I don't care who begin this. Anybody can start it. If it's going to work, I'm going to follow you because I just want some form of transformation in Liberia that's going to improve the standard of living of our society. As I'm about to leave you, I want to say this to you. A dream of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And I will continue to ask you to join me on this journey to transform Liberia, to build private enterprise in the country. I want you to join me. Mr. President, you said the Liberian diaspora has tremendous potential. I agree with you, Mr. President. Tremendous potential. In fact, you went on to say that the Liberian diaspora has a major role to play in the country. I also agree that we do have a major role to play in the country. But that major role must be helped on, must be pushed on, must be encouraged, and must be buttressed by the government. To bring Liberian expertise home, we can raise the $25 million to help the government to be able to build small-scale manufacturing in the country so the government tax base can grow. This is what the Liberian Diaspora Corporation can do. And we're going to ask you to help us receive money. We can refund this money back to the government after we raise the money. Or this can be a public-private partnership where we create thousands of jobs across the country. Mr. President, please, the pledge that you made here in Providence and across Liberia, maybe across the United States of the Liberian diaspora, we must not be forgotten. Help us to help you to develop our country. We will raise our own money, but we must bring men and women back to the corporation to form a solid team to go across America to raise this money. We have to raise this money, Mr. President. This money must be raised in order to put men and women to work in the country. Our brothers must go to work, but we must build that. We must harness the powers of the Liberian diaspora, economic power. We must harness this power and battle this power and take this power back to Liberia and open the battle and release that power in Liberia so we can grow industry across our country and take the shame of disgrace from our faces and say to the world that Liberia is ready. We ready, oh. Can we sing that song? We ready for industry. We ready for Liberia enterprise. We're ready for large-scale fish farming, large-scale fishing industry. We're ready. We're ready for a wheelbarrow factory in our own country, for motorcycle assembly. We're ready. We're ready for a large-scale garment factory in the country. We're ready. We're ready for a Rubbermaid factory in the country. We're ready. We're ready to process the trash into something valuable. Can we say we're ready? We're ready to put men and women to work. Can we say we are ready? Can we raise this money? Yes, we can, Mr. President. And I hope you join us and you stand by your word that you will help the Liberian diaspora to get on their feet, to come to Liberia. We will raise our own money. We just need a little bit of seed money so we can come home properly. I'm about to close. I want you to always remember to think Liberia, to love Liberia, and together we can build Liberia. In your words, Mr. President. My name is Ensu Opa Dualu, and as always, I'm broadcasting from the great state of Massachusetts, and it was a great pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.